Hi there and welcome to Joe World. Please consider subscribing to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you will not miss any of our uploads. Hello and welcome again to this channel. In this video, I will be highlighting what is actually going on in Modakeke Ife. The internet was agog recently with claims that there is massive crisis and war going on in Ife Modakeke region of Nigeria. So there's a press statement that was released by the eyewitnesses and those that saw what is actually going on in the town, state, as the case may be. So here is the truth and everything that is going on in Ife Modakeke. In a statement that was jointly released by the Ife Action Council that was signed by the President, Dr. Bolagade Famorio, the Secretary, Prince Lawrence Adewale, and the PRO, Public Relations Officer, Chief J.O. Olafare. In their statement, they said murder at Alakpata. And Alakpata is one of the, should I say, streets now in the states or in the town, as the case may be. They said an attempt to conceal the truth about the perpetrators of the devilish acts. It is pertinent to let the general public know the true story of what had happened at Alakpata village on the 11th of May 2021, where a mother and son were murdered. Without mincing words, the deceased persons were allegedly murdered by Modakeke gunmen. Dragging effects to the matter was an attempt to conceal the murderers. The facts as investigated and verified, which can be independently confirmed through the law enforcement agents and hospital records by interested parties, are as follows. Now, number one, Ife farmers at Alakpata village have since been denied access to their farms for many years to date. The village has been occupied by Modakeke till today. That the deceased woman was a cocoa merchant and money lender to the Modakeke hoodlums occupying Ife farms at Alakpata village. That the hoodlum farmers of Modakeke descent were heavily indebted to the deceased woman and were not ready to pay her. That the deceased woman and her son went after their debtors to recover their money. That it was in the course of hot argument that they decided to kill the woman and her son and left them in the pool of their blood. When the news filtered to town, the Modakeke youth, without investigation, erroneously believed that it must have been the Ifes. Consequently, they got themselves heavily armed, bombarded Ife villages like Toro, Alakpata, Ojuade, Abapano, etc., shooting sporadically, killing and maiming innocent lives. In the process, they murdered the following people: Mr. and Mrs. Idowu of Ife origin at Oyere, Mr. Sunday, aka Okoleriagbe, Ife origin at Abapano, Madam Iya Eve, an Igbo woman at Ojuade, and a lot. These are the discovered corpses. Others are still missing. This is besides many other kidnapped by these hoodlums and taken to Modakeke with the aim of killing them. Those who sustained injuries are now in the hospitals, and some of them have been reported dead, while others are in critical condition. It is on record that recently the Modakeke youth had done similar onslaughts in Ife Township when the news got them that a ritualist of Ijesha origin, popularly called Ifa, was alleged to have assassinated a woman selling a kuru. They terrorized Ife and burnt Ife's two houses, while Ife remained calm in the interest of peace. It is not in our interest to avenge the onslaught, though they cannot claim to have monopoly of violence always, but they need to be warned to desist from continuous harassment and violence against Ife farmers on their legitimate farmland and ancestral belongings, as this will henceforth be resisted by all means possible. We hereby implore the law enforcement agents to do the needful by bringing to book the perpetrators of this devilish act. Signed, the President of the Ife Action Council, the Secretary, and the PRO. Now, let me give you the main gist. This is what they are saying. Let me give you the main gist of Ife Modakeke Gongongo. Now, these towns, both towns are in Osun State, Nigeria, located there, and they have in history the oldest ethnic conflicts ever. There has been 7 major conflicts, crises between these towns, dating from the 18th century, between 1835 and 1849, 1882 and 1909, 1946 and 1949, 1981 to 1983, 1997 to 1998, and then in year 2000 there was a war. So this is the 8th crisis now that will happen between these towns. If people cannot live together, live yourselves now. That's what we are fighting for currently as a nation. Now, the 1997 to 1998 fight is still the most spoken about because many of the people who witnessed it that were young then are now adults and are able to speak on the issue very well. And that is one of the crises. That's actually the crisis that brought Sunday Igboho to the limelight as a fighter, as the case may be. Sunday Igboho, although is an indigene of Igboho town in Oyo State, grew up in Modakeke. He has been in Modakeke since 1985. So that was 2 years after the most recent war, before the 1997 crisis happened, and it was very involved in fighting for the Modakekes. They call the Modakekes Akoraye because they have an history of being veilers at war, and they are predominantly wealthy farmers. If you listen to this press statement that was released by the Ife people, they are saying that Modakekes are trying to claim the farmlands that belong to Ife people. This is because the indigenes of Ife actually treat or believe that people of Modakeke are actually tenants in their land. This is because they consider them strangers, because history has it that the people of Modakeke actually migrated and settled down in Ile-Ife after the collapse of the old Oyo Empire in the 19th century. So then they moved to Ile-Ife, migrated and settled there. Then Ife people accepted them then, but then because they wanted to grow themselves, they wanted to farm, they wanted to build houses, they wanted to marry Ife women, marry Ife men, Ife people thought were strangers, should not have access to farmland, should not have access to some of these things, and that is what is still currently happening. So there has always been a beef between these towns, and then Ile-Ife is where the school Obafemi Awolowo University is located. The thing is, Ile-Ife and Modakeke are actually very interwoven. You could probably not, if you're not of either origin, either Ile-Ife or Modakeke origin, you would not know what streets, what village belongs to Modakeke, which one belongs to Ile-Ife, because it's so interwoven. Now, the 2000 crisis resulted in the death of over 10 people. The 1997 to 1998 crisis involved in the death of so many. It went on for a year, and there were several dead bodies, people that were missing, that are still missing up to today but assumed dead. People had to migrate, leave Modakeke, leave Ile-Ife to go settle down in other states in the southwest, Lagos, Ibadan, to start afresh to build their homes. But the 2000 crisis resulted in the death of over 10 people, while more than 50 people are missing. They were missing and they're still missing within 3 days. Now, the then president Olusegun Obasanjo set up a committee to look into the continuous intra-communal crisis between these guys, and the committee was led by Bodejo. Since then, there has been no fight, although there's been normal beef that is always in the air between these two communities. One in 2021, that is this year that I'm just speaking about. I just gave you the gist of. The internet actually had so many things going on, with the hashtag Ife Modakeke Crisis currently trending on Twitter. Twitter Nigeria as number 1, with people saying, okay, you have to hide yourselves because you can never predict what these people might do. And that is the truth. You can't predict what Ife Modakeke people can do. But some people are saying, okay, there's no fight between them. The gunshots were doing to a robbery in Modakeke area, but there was no robbery. There was actually a crisis which has been abated now according to information, but we hope that they would not, if people would not want to take justice into their own hand and want to revenge on behalf of their murdered persons. If someone is saying that if this Ife and Modakeke altercation is true, that confirms the silly saying that the lizard cannot enter into a house until there is a crack. Instead of focusing on fighting together against imminent and external forces, you are shooting goal shots at home. Wahala no they finish. Oh, okay. This person is saying that while Sunday Igboho is now an activist and is fighting seriously for the division of Nigeria, once a Yoruba nation, there was even a rally recently in Oshogbo, that's the Osun state capital, where that's even the state where these towns that I'm talking about are situated. Now they're saying we're trying to say Fulani herdsmen should leave and all of those things, and we are facing ourselves intra-ethnic war. Well, these conflicts probably would not be resolved anytime soon. Someone is saying if the rumor is true that there's altercation brewing in the town, everybody should please hide themselves. And students of the Obafemi Awolowo University who live off campus around Asherifa and some other areas that are said to be owned by Modakekes but located within Ife should better watch their backs. Anyways, that is the summary of everything that is happening in this town. If there is more updates, I'll bring them to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.